I'm one of those entrepreneurs that used to treat my employees like crap, like literal slaves, people that are just a cog in the machine to make sure that my business is as profitable as possible. And I could, really not care anymore about them and their personal lives. And, I want to share a story of how all that changed. It all changed when I was once trapped in Peru during the lockdowns, and my wife and I were just basically stuck in Peru for 8 whole months. And during that time, my business was growing and I needed some more people for my call center. And coincidentally, during that time, my wife also spilled, I think, some water on her MacBook, and we wanted to buy her a new laptop. So we looked on Facebook Marketplace, found a laptop that we thought would be good. The guy brings the laptop over and the keys were like freaking sticky. And we were just thinking, dude, what the hell? The freaking volume controls are hardly even pressable because it's just so crusty. And we said, no, we're not going to take this. And the guy who delivered the laptop said, hey, I'm unaffiliated with this whole deal. Whether you take the laptop or not, you owe me freaking 5 sol, which is the Peruvian currency, for this delivery. And we were just like, what the hell? And, at the end of that, we called the guy who sold us the laptop, or was trying to sell us the laptop that we didn't take, that was sticky with like semen and stuff. And we said, what the hell? And this guy couldn't speak, very good English, and we didn't have very good Spanish at that stage. So he put us on the line with one of his friends. And long story short, his friend, she spoke great English. And then we offered her, I heard her English and I said, dude, it'd be great if you worked for my call center. She said, I already have a job, but I have a friend who'd be a good fit for this. And she recommended 3 individuals. And 2 of those individuals were a brother and a sister that we did end up hiring. And, during that time, during the pandemic, being in Peru, they were living maybe like an hour and a half in some village a little further away. And we actually went up and visited them, and they invited us over to their home. And we had an incredible time with them. Like, I was just blown away. Let me see if I can show you some photos over here by how well they treated us. And I just didn't understand. Right? I didn't understand. So we barbecued with them as well. You can see over here. This is the brother and the sister that we hired. And, I had a great time over there with my wife, and, we walked around. You can see over here, just chatting and learning about each other. And anyways, it just really changed my perspective on my employees, because as I said, before I used to see them as these robots, very transactional. I'm paying you money and you work for me. So freaking do the work. And if you don't work, then you're going to get fired. And after seeing that just hospitality, it blew me away. But specifically what blew me away was seeing the impact that I was able to have on them, because they told me that during the pandemic, their dad lost his job as an accountant. He was starting to sell pizzas from home and the mom wasn't working. And they told me their story about how they actually used to live in Canada illegally, and then they somehow made their way to, anyways, they got deported, okay? It makes me a bit emotional thinking about this, because what they said to me is that they were in a lot of debt, and after working with us in our marketing agency, they were able to actually get out of debt, and then actually the brother and sister were able to provide for their families. And that really blew me away, that my business was making this kind of an impact. And so many times, I think in the past, I thought that to make an impact, I wanted to be this big Tony Robbins type figure, this guru that, went around and changed people's lives, and they came up and thanked me, and just complete strangers would come out of nowhere. But I think I realized that one of the most powerful things about being an entrepreneur was the circle of influence that I had around me directly in my life, which is my employees, my assistant, my salespeople, my, media buyers, my wife and my freaking kids and my parents. These are the people that I could have an impact on immediately, because I'm closest to them. I'm seeing them almost every day. And I committed at that stage moving forward that I would make a difference for my people. And we, went on and hired, dozens of people from Colombia after that. And I remember there was this one girl who used to work for us, and I'll never forget, she called in one day and she said, hey, I can't come into work. And we said, why? And I was starting to get pissed off. And she said, well, actually, I didn't tell you, but I've been caught up in an abusive relationship for like the last 4 years. I've got 4 kids, and they don't belong to this man that I'm with, and he's very abusive towards me and towards my kids, she said. And that really tore me up. And so we said, okay, cool, let's pay for your Airbnb and you get out of there, get out of that situation. And then maybe a week later, she was able to get a restraining order, and she was free from an abusive relationship, because before she wasn't making any money and she had no choice but to live with him. And so that's the power, right? That's the power of getting to know our people, the people that work for us, the people that really make our dreams a reality. And, you know, oftentimes that connection and that ability to be with our people comes from being human-like, and how we become human-like is by being vulnerable. You know, the more I started sharing about, you know, my difficulties in life and my fears and my aspirations, the more my people were able to start relating to me, the more my people were able to start seeing me as just another human being. And I really recommend to you as well, if you haven't done that and all you are is a boss, all you are is a paycheck, then change that. Because if you don't change that, then all you'll get is a worker, is a robot, is someone that's transactional. But today, the way that I govern and rule my business is in a way where I'm there to serve my people. I'm there to make a difference for them. And if I can be a part of their life story, then I absolutely want that above and beyond everything. I mean, when I onboard any of my people, and even in the interview process, I get to understand what their personal values are, what their personal goals and their personal aspirations are, is because I want to be a part of that. I want to make that happen. And if I can't make that happen, and at some stage it's the end of the road in my business, I'll know before even them potentially, because I know what their goals are, and I'll know if they've outgrown the position. And there's been many, many times, I can't even count on a hand how many times this has happened, where someone outgrew the position and I didn't have something for them in the company anymore. And instead of stifling them and stopping them, I moved them elsewhere and I helped them find the next opportunity. And man, ultimately, if we're not in business to make a difference for our people, if that's not the modality through which we want to serve, then really it's self-serving that's happening over here. Because, you know, if I want to be the kind of person that's in service and I have to be in the public eye, where I'm giving all this charity and I'm building all these wells and I'm doing all this cool stuff and I'm on stage and people admire me and I have followers and I have comments that are saying, you saved me from freaking taking my life, or you changed my life. Like, why do I want that? Is that to stroke my own ego? It's these people that are real people, that are doing real work, that are putting in real hours in order to make a difference for our businesses, and so that we can have the lives that we want and have. So I really implore you to start by getting curious, right? That's the one thing that I did very, very well in my life period, that helped me, you know, meet my wife and meet my business partners and all the great people that I have in my life, is that I've been a very, very curious individual. And so get curious about your people's values, about what they want out of life. What are their financial goals? What do they want to have physically in their lives? What do they want to buy? You know, what do they want to avoid? What are their fears? This is very, very important. In the same way that we sell clients on SMMA or agency or whatever, SaaS product services, whatever we do, the same way in which we do that is the same way in which we get buy-in from them, in order to have them see that we're the best solution for their business and for their lives. It's the same way that we should do with our people. We should be asking them what it is that they want out of life, so that they can get buy-in and they can be bought into our company's culture. Right? Being a great leader isn't just about paying well. Being a great leader isn't just about putting on a smile and having bravado and charisma and having a strong vision. It's about actually getting down in the trenches and understanding what our people want, because that's what makes a leader a good leader. If you ever looked at people like Nelson Mandela, right? I grew up in South Africa. It's a country that I love, and I truthfully love it more so because of its history, because, you know, we had a very, very challenging past leading up to 1994, when apartheid stopped happening. And if you don't know what apartheid is, you know, Google it, ChatGPT it, whatever you want. But basically, blacks and anyone that wasn't white was segregated, and we couldn't be with white people. And I didn't grow up during that era, but there was a man named Nelson Mandela who basically stood up for the country and stood up for a vision of South Africa where everyone was equal, and that everyone could be on the beach together and in the hospital together and in schools together. And you know, this man was among the people, right? He was out there in the trenches. He was going out there rallying, supporting, fighting, went to jail for 27 years. And he could have had the high life. He could have been a freaking beast, one of the only, if not the only, black man in South Africa at the time that had all the favors of the British and the Dutch, but he didn't, right? He got in the trenches and he understood his people and what they wanted, and he fought for that. And so in many ways, this is a test, right? This is a test on me. This is a test on me as a man. It's a test on my lust. It's a test on my ego. It's a test on my faith, to see, what am I going to take? Am I going to take the the high road, which is basically me learning to let go of my selfish monetary, financial, revenue desires and actually invest in the person and even let that person go on to the next thing, even if it's to my detriment. Am I going to take that higher road, or am I going to cling on? Am I going to cling on to the temporary world that God's created, in which no one is going to last past, heck, even maybe 100 years? If you make it to 100, congratulations. So what? We're not going to outrun death. And so I know this video has taken a pretty interesting angle, and it started off with me talking about how I used to treat my employees like robots, but really what I want you to get out of this is that the reason I treated my employees like robots is because I made myself the god of my life. I made my own desires the god of my life. I made my own ego the god of my life. I made my own material possessions and desire for power the god of my life. And when I make the god of my life actual God, who wants me to serve people and to be amongst the people as a humble, willing, and helpful being, yeah, I'm not going to treat my people like a freaking robot. And this is a challenge for anyone that's watching this. If you are treating your people, even your freaking VA, as just this transactional being that should just do whatever your heart desires for them because they're on payroll, then think again. This was helpful, or you got anything out of this? Let me know in the comment section. I'll see ya.